Good evening, Britannia, and hello to the rest of the world. Welcome to 2CTV. This general election is extremely important as a reminder to the people of this country and everywhere around the world that integrity is important, accountability is important, and being transparent is also very much a part of the package. Let's talk about the Labour Party. Let's talk about a specific Labour member. Technically a Labour MP, but of course, during this period, they're not really MPs, they're just candidates. This is actually about Apsana Begum. Apsana Begum, been an MP since 2019. A Corbynista, close to the far left of the Labour Party, and of course, an element of Islamists and Momentum and all those guys. She is the first, as they say, hijab-wearing Muslim MP in the House of Commons. She became infamous because a few years ago, after she became an MP, there was a case against her when it came to housing fraud. Suddenly, afterwards, when that was happening, she came out with allegations about her ex-husband, domestic abuse, even though they haven't been married for years before that. As you guys know, Apsana Begum has been quite vocal when it comes to the so-called Palestinian cause, although not really just to support the Palestinian people, but to go and chant from the river to the sea. In this video, this exclusive live stream for you guys, we have a special guest. We have the ex-husband of Apsana Begum, who's decided to come on this channel to tell us his side of the story. Of course, we're going to listen to everything he has to say, but we're going to go through the timeline of obviously how they met, their marriage, how Apsana is right now in terms of the court cases that happened a few years ago, and anything else we can know. Let's go to Ehtasham Haq, the ex-husband of Apsana Begum, who also is now the independent candidate for Popular and Limehouse in the same seat that Apsana is standing. Ehtasham was a Labour member who's been cancelled by the Labour Party. Let's go to Ehtasham. How are you?
Hi, I'm okay. Thank you, Anya. Thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to share my story.
Yeah, I mean, we have to talk about a lot of things that happened. Of course, you have your side, but the media, the press, basically one-sided went with Apsana Begum's side and the Labour Party at the top, especially at the time, obviously, Jeremy Corbyn. This is an opportunity for you to tell your story, obviously, and it's important to mention we will get in touch with Apsana Begum's office to see if they have anything to say. I thought maybe the best thing to do in terms of starting this, starting from the beginning, who are you? And of course, how do you know Apsana Begum?
Okay, so I'm Ehtasham Haq. I was a Labour councillor from 2018 until 2022. Now, before I start, I should make a disclaimer that, of course, I'm a candidate and I'm exercising my human rights to freedom of expression, and also the fact that my whole contribution is for the sake of social justice and truth. And there is obviously I was a constituent of Miss Begum. Miss Begum was my wife. So as a citizen, I have a right to have a political opinion on my MP or on another politician. Now, of course, me even being a candidate, I whatever contribution I'll make is solely in the public interest. Now, so that's my sort of identity. I was suddenly suspended around 2021
Yeah.
from the Labour Party, and then obviously my whole life has been turned upside down when Miss Begum went to court. But obviously, how it started,
Yeah.
we got married in 2013. It was May when she called police on her brother because family did not really endorse our relationship, and that was solely because in our culture you're not supposed to marry someone who has been married before.
Yeah.
So I was married before, and my wife passed away, gave up her battle to cancer in 2007. So that was a big stigma that I had. Her family did not agree. Anyhow, we started living together in my apartment around May 2013, and then we've been together until October 2015. By that time, we've grown apart. There were a lot of disagreement, um, clash of values, etc. Um, and then, of course, there was within that period from October 2015 until following September, around 9-10 months, we
Hmm.
were separated as a couple.
Right.
It's an important period because there was an incident that that's as important for viewer or for people to um, note. The
Yeah.
incident was obviously when the reconciliation effort started.
Hmm.
There was a demand that I should give dowry. There was a demand that I should become a better Muslim. I should go Saudi Arab, etc.,
As
etc.
in
I
being more
fulfilled it.
fundamentalist, right? Being more fundamentalist and like just very traditional.
It was so. I'm more of a liberal Muslim. I'm a
Yeah.
Muslim.
You're culturally Muslim, but you're not really a complete
Correct.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I try and sort of balance it. Uh, anyhow, and there was a lot of paranoia. Somehow our marriage sort of initially whatever happened in October 2015. Then by August September 2016, Miss Begum joined the Labour Party. As soon as she joined the Labour Party, she contacted me. I was in the US then. I was in America. I clearly remember I was about to start my PhD in University of Exeter, and a sort of new chapter started. Um, we got back together.
Right.
We got back together, and then in April 2017, after about 5 months, we amicably decided that it's not working. So we
Okay.
completely then ended our relationship. That timeline is very important because what I'm about to come to is very important for viewers and for public to remember the timeline.
Yeah.
So yeah, April 2017,
Hmm.
relationship broke. We are a Labour Party member, and
Hmm.
we decided to sort of continue to maintain our professional relationship, our working relationship within the Labour Party.
Yes.
And she supported me to become a councillor. She supported me by coming and joining my campaign. So entire 2017, we worked together. Enter all public within the East End and all Labour Party members. Everyone's aware of it.
Yeah.
2018, also another whole year, whole 12 months, we worked
Yep.
together, and everyone knew we were married. We are like ex. And by 2018, mid 2018 May, when I got elected, and
Yeah. Well,
I
this is
got
the
married.
council. And then, by the way, before you continue, obviously, I forgot to say those in the live chat, we'll get your reaction as well later. This is the live conversation, obviously. But obviously, a lot of people are saying, okay, so this is the background of the relationship. Now the divorce is happening. This is when things go dark, and this is about obviously you got the council election, and then I'm guessing this is where we're going to get to why the council decided to take her to court, right? Afterwards.
Yeah, so 2018, still everything's fine. I became a counselor. There were two factors that were really ultimately also hindered our political relationship. One
Yep.
was that I was now a labor group member, a councillor with an executive mayor who is regarded as a right winger, a Blairite, and I was under pressure that if you're supposed to be left wing, you cannot cooperate. You got to listen to me, listen to us, etc., etc. And I was always someone who did not believe in just left wing or right wing labeling. I was more for truth, and there are many things that I reserve my right to disagree. So that was one factor in terms of
Yep.
me falling out with Miss Begum and her supporters. That second one was, of course, I got married. So I got married to, I got married to another counselor,
Yep.
Counselor Sabina, who's my current wife of 6 years,
Nope.
and she was regarded as a Blairite. So there are two sins I've committed, cardinal sins. One is that I'm a castrator. Additionally, now I have married a Blairite, right winger, a new
How dare you?
Labour person. Yeah, I'm there. So that's then obviously then they started purging me, and the local left were always very problematic in allowing any opinion. So I call them Talibani left because of their
Talibani left.
intolerance. Yeah, they're like they almost similar to your extreme fundamentalist.
Right.
So there cannot be any difference of opinion. If you don't agree with my interpretation or my version, then you're a traitor. You're a disbeliever. That sort of approach, very intolerant. And I found that very problematic.
Sure.
Anyhow, still we were still okay in terms of social
Yeah.
circle because it's a close knit community. We even socialized in our mutual friend's house. We also were attending general committee meetings, various meetings that are there
Yeah.
for
And then
for
this is where we get to 2020, right? Since those
No, we're
days,
coming to 20. So we are still in, let's say, 2018. 2019, what happens? 2019 was the year when
she
general
got like,
election was called, a snap election was called. And by that time, Miss Begum and obviously the hard left, they decided to completely switch the sort of entitlement of Poplar Limehouse as a constituency. So it
right.
was obviously our outgoing MP was Mr. Jim Fitzpatrick, who was a great MP, still regarded as a right winger, but he was very hardworking. So
Yep.
naturally, the membership were expecting that okay, there will not be any all women selection or anything. So there was a lot
Right.
of controversy around it. A lot of controversies around how by then the Corbyn and the leadership dealt with the whole entire selection process. Miss Begum obviously was one of the candidates, and
Right.
she messaged me. She messaged me through her one of her key campaigner and a mutual friend, saying, "Oh, she wants to sit down with me. She wants my
Mm.
support." She also messaged my wife, my current wife,
Wow.
that that she needs our support, etc., etc. Now, I, in principle, always believed in democracy. For me, I cannot now ask or request or deprive the members of the local party, and because the way they have done it. Anyhow, it was my right
Yep.
to disagree with her politically,
Okay.
and
So
I
yeah,
did that.
and then so this was a 2019. She got elected, and now she's an MP. I mean, yeah,
So
obviously
now,
she.
before she became an MP, I'm sorry, I'm like
Yeah.
backtracking because there are a
Okay.
couple of important parts. So as soon as she became a parliamentary candidate under in a very controversial circumstances, in one of the hosting, a couple of people asked question that you as a single woman,
Yeah.
how come have a social housing allocated to you?
So this is where
Because
it starts. The questions
this
were
is where
raised
it
about
started.
social
Yeah.
housing. Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Okay.
And obviously, there are 23,000 people on the waiting list in Tower Hamlets for
Right.
housing. And naturally, the question was because everyone knew we were like public person. Everyone knew she was with her husband, myself,
Yep.
and everyone knew when she sort of moved and became single. Then how come within 6 months, you got a social housing property? She came under that scrutiny.
That's not normal. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and because you're about to become a member of parliament, you will come under scrutiny. There were a
Yeah.
number of complaints went to the council.
Right.
One complaints. This is how I'm telling you. I'll tell you later how they managed to do their PR campaign to deceive people and very smartly. And on the other hand, I was a very, very sort of weak person because I don't have funds, PR,
Yeah.
faction. I wasn't neither left wing nor right wing, so I was nowhere.
Right.
Anyhow, let me go
But
back to that point.
yeah, before the cover-ups,
So
they.
complaints, yeah, complaints been made to the council. Now, if you make a complaint, or if anybody make a complaint to the council just doesn't straight away decide to prosecute someone. They have their own internal investigation that they
Sure.
conduct, which they did. And one of the complainant, one of the whistleblower,
Yeah.
was Mr. Sayed Nahid Uddin, who
Okay.
is a Cambridge graduate, who was a Momentum member,
Ah.
and who also had ambition to become an MP for Poplar and Limehouse. Why I say this? Because he later on marries my sister and becomes my brother-in-law.
Right.
Now, later after the court trial, what happened? Entire thing has been pinned on me. that
Okay.
my brother-in-law, as if like he hasn't got his own agency, that
Right.
I got my brother-in-law to make a complaint against my ex-wife. That's how they deceived the public and
They
sort of
decided to spin
put
it,
in.
but the council still decided to take it to court, right, over this.
The council, after their investigation, decided to take her to court. So come to beginning of 2020,
Right. So what happened at
December
court? What were the
2019.
charges? What were the counts?
So 2020, what happened? She was interviewed under caution, and the charges were first charge was that when in 2011, that's even before she met me, she applied for a social housing, and she claimed that she was living in an overcrowded house. It was
Right.
a four-bedroom house, according to her mother, who applied for various benefits, according to even your right move or like the information out there. It's a four-bedroom house.
Sure.
So they claimed that the prosecution, the council said that you said it was three-bedroom, and that's why
Right.
we deemed your application um,
Yeah.
as you're not.
We have some of these
We have
questions.
some.
We'll just put it on the
This,
screen.
this is the second. This is the second one. Yeah. So the second. So first, obviously, the first count doesn't sort of relate me.
Yeah.
So, but she had her application since 2011. Obviously, we got married in 2013. Remember, after like 2 years. So
Yep.
when she moved in with me, she had an obligation to update the council to say that she is now adequately housed and she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need the application anymore. The claim by the council was the second charge, which was the second count,
Yeah.
that after moving in with your husband, you're supposed to tell us that you've moved in with your husband and your circumstances has changed. It's a
Of course.
legal obligation. So the second charge was that you did not do it, Miss Begum, while you were with your husband between May until 2014.
Yep.
Someone was making the bids. Someone was making the bids from your
Right.
account. Of course, it was you. You must have been making the bids, and that's when Miss Begum ultimately said, during the cross-examination. This is again, by the way, this is in public domain because this is court transcript, and people public were allowed in the house, so this is nothing compromising or thinking anything. So what Miss Begum then said at the court during the questioning, that I did the bidding.
Right.
I was responsible. Now that second count was very important, and because then she scapegoated me and
Okay.
confused the jury. The jury obviously then, and I was never invited to, to respond. Like, have I done the bidding? Like, if I was doing the bidding from her account, then I'm
Yep.
committing the fraud. Yep. I should be penalized. Anyhow,
So okay.
and then that was the second count. Then obviously Miss Begum, and I remember in October 2015 when she left, what she has done, this is the third charge, she has gone back to the council
Okay.
and never told them what happened. Like, she was married and she lived with me for 1.5, 2 years. So the council regarded her as someone is waiting from last 5 years.
Okay.
So 2011 until 2016. And that's why they gave her that flat. They offered her a property because they are treating her as someone waiting from last 5 years.
Yep.
And
Okay.
of course, the other question, and the big question that remains, is that, let's say the court failed to prove beyond reasonable doubt who
Sure.
did the bidding. Was it Meyer? Was it Ehtisham? Was it Apsana? But the property was allocated unfairly or inappropriately. It wouldn't have been allocated had no one bid it. So the fruit of the fraud is
Yep.
this very property. And Miss Begum obviously still lives in there.
So
Not only
okay,
she-
so all these charges were there and enough evidence, and this was also now at the same time that she now come out with allegations against you, and then she got away with the trial. What's happened?
Yeah, so I'm coming to that. So additionally, what Miss Begum have done, she while she was telling the story to the jury, she suddenly, first time ever, came out with the idea of domestic abuse. That she was in a controlling and coercive relationship, and that's why somehow that contributed towards her situations, etc. And obviously, there was a massive coverage through national media and a
Yep.
lot of intense private things Miss Begum disclosed, you know, at her advantage. And I never had a right to reply. I emailed the council.
So,
I
but
told the council.
she accused you of something, or
Yeah, so she obviously, once she said that I did the bidding, and she accused me of being a controlling and coercive husband. She also, yeah,
domestic
that's right
abuse.
at the beginning. Yes, domestic abuse. Because can you see even the messaging here? I mean, she also
Yeah.
claimed domestic abuse from her brother. So at that period, when that came out, we thought, okay, she's talking about her brother, who
Yeah,
she
yeah.
called
That's
the,
what you thought.
yeah. So yeah, that's what I thought. No way, because we, after our marriage ended, we worked together. Everyone's a witness. There was no suggestions of any wrongdoing within our marriage. So I was
So
at that time
so
even
you got
still.
divorced in 2017. There were no complaints then or just after, but somehow coincidentally, when the court case was happening, she's now an MP. She's now come out to say she's obviously a victim of domestic abuse, basically blaming you. She also got a job as a chair of the domestic abuse group in Parliament, the committee, and then that
So
kind of. So you're alleging that
yeah,
that kind of helped her get away with the trial, right? Those things.
so yeah. If you look at December 2019, immediately from January 20, so April 2017, when we ended our relationship amicably.
Yeah.
Okay, you have
So everything was
entire
fine.
2017.
Yeah.
Entire 2017, there is no complaint against me. We're working together. Entire 2018, we're working together. No complaint, nothing, no hint. Entire 2019, no hint of domestic abuse, nothing. But suddenly, 2020, in January,
When there's
she
a
claims
court case
first.
against her, yeah, yeah, it's a good way. I mean, allegedly to distract, of course, and also to have people having her back. Allegedly to have, like, for example, Jeremy Corbyn, and then obviously people like Keir Starmer afterwards, and everybody else in the media to be like, "Wow, look, a poor woman is getting abused." And they kind of forgot
Anyhow,
about the trial.
what happened then? I mean, there is an argument. Oh, I was a Labour councillor, and remember, I'm a Labour councillor with the right wing mayor. So I
Yes.
must have influenced the council to prosecute the sitting MP.
What did they do to
That,
you? Something happened to
that,
you, right?
that that's how they sort of framed it, that I'm harassing my ex-wife by
Right.
using the council. So, but imagine when the trial happened because of COVID. The ultimate trial happened in July 2021, the following year. While the trial was happening, my name's being dragged through the mud, and I don't have a right to reply. The same very council I'm requesting, I'm saying that, look, my reputation is being tarnished. I need to have a right to reply. The
Right.
council said, you are a third party. We cannot allow you. We are just focusing on Miss Begum and the property bidding, etc. Nothing on your relationship. So your relationship is not being judged. So my
And
question is, and people should ask themselves, that if I was behind,
yeah.
orchestrating this whole prosecution, how come the same very council, rejecting, denying my right to go and take on court? It would have been easy for me to
But
take on
instead,
court,
they
right?
decided to cancel you, right? Did the Labour Party suspend you?
Yes. So just before the trial started, suddenly I received a letter without telling me who complained about me, what are the allegations against me. It was like Kafkaesque trial. So two
Okay.
and a half months, the trial obviously came to an end. I don't know what's the complaint against me. Why am I suspended for? And I'm a labor councillor then. It was a very difficult period of my life. But after the trial came to an end, what then ensued,
Yep.
the entire campaign became about domestic abuse and hunting me, labeling me, abusing me online, offline, abusing my current wife,
Hmm.
saying, how come you're living with this dog? Even anybody who can be seen with me, they will tell them, "Oh, you're a domestic abuse facilitator. How come you have
But you
been
didn't
seen
get
with my?"
charged or anything, right? You didn't get charged, or you didn't get punished or imprisoned or anything in terms of the
Nothing.
domestic.
I'm completely separately nowhere. So,
But
to
she's
me,
been but she's the champion of domestic abuse victims and everything else. So that would make you think that means she was legally the victim. So anyone who abused her, like the ex-husband, must have been punished so that she could be obviously praised so much by the establishment.
I should be hanged by the Tower of London. I should be tried for whatever crime I've committed. And I've invited Miss Begum multiple times. If there is any wrongdoing, you're a powerful woman, you're a champion, you're claiming of women. You should set an example
Yeah.
by making sure you put me through the justice process, judicial process in this country. You can complain to the CPS, you can go to the police. But she is, and she was, and always prepared to politically benefit using
Okay.
this serious issue of domestic abuse, but not serious enough to really put me through the very justice system that governs this country. And I
So
claim, and this is where I'm first time coming out, I am innocent until proven guilty. And I have been given no avenues where I
okay.
can
So
go and defend.
obviously, I'm going to ask you one more thing, but for those obviously just joined or have been watching, just a quick obviously summary. As we've heard, obviously Ehtisham got in touch. We got a lot of documents from him. We're going to get in touch with obviously Apsana Begum's team. Obviously, they've been ignoring us. It's okay. The whole point was they met. They got married, they got divorced in 2017, and then both got involved with the Labour Party. 2019, she became an MP. And then that was when also allegations against her came out about housing fraud. While that was happening in 2020, somehow she then accused her ex-husband, obviously, Ehtisham, of domestic abuse. There was no charges against him. There was no imprisonment, any sort of punishment. But those allegations obviously cancelled him. He got suspended. But also they put her, they created her as a champion of domestic abuse victims. She became the chair of the committee in Parliament. And then somehow the court trial thing got away. And now we are where we are. So Ehtisham, what are you doing now? So apparently you are the independent candidates, and now you're speaking out. Because obviously you got in touch because you wanted people to know their local candidates, their representatives. You want people to know the account, well, the truth, right? What's going on?
Yeah, so last 3.5 years, I've been silenced completely. I was hoping the Labour Party will ultimately run probably an independent process, but the independence complaint panel, guess what? They went, because I've been patiently waiting. But before that, what I should tell you, what's very important for you to note, after my suspension, I was unsuspended. My membership was given back for 1 day in September 2021, because Labour Party felt whatever the complaint was, it did
Yeah.
not merit enough to keep my suspension. Then
Okay.
immediately the all party parliamentary group for women or something, they created huge hoo-ha, huge pressure through Labour list saying, oh, how could you unsuspend this member, etc. So the Labour Party came under immense pressure that you don't
Yeah.
have to really investigate, you don't have to really look for truth, look into evidence. You need to keep this man suspended because our MP
Yeah.
claimed, mentioned it in the court, of course, to our convenience. And I was suspended again. And then and obviously I did not know what to do. I did not have enough money. And
Yeah.
I was also, very important to note, immediately after her acquittal from the housing trial, the harassment that's ensued, it was mostly from third party. So she will not take my name because remember, in the parliament, whatever she says, because she says ex-husband, etc., and that's privilege. You cannot really sue people for whatever been said in the parliament. Also, in the court during judicial proceedings, you can libel people, and you are immune from any sort of further repercussion on it. People cannot take. Additionally, she of course knows my financial ability, so
Right.
I cannot take no action, and I wasn't able to do anything. So coming back to
But now
Labour
you're
Party,
using your candidacy to speak out, right?
I'll come to that in a point. Let me just finish if I can finish the Labour Party point. The Labour Party independent complaint panel, they have this independent system in place. In between the deliberation, it was discovered. Guess who ultimately was representing the Labour Party legally in the internal disciplinary case?
Who?
The very person, the very lawyer who is from the same chamber
Yeah.
as Miss Helen Law, Matrix Chamber, who represented Miss Apsana Begum in the housing for trial. from the same chamber. And it was, he did not declare it, number one.
Right.
I'm trying to, you know, there could be practice where, you know, yes, within the chamber, people can sort of represent various people. But
Yeah.
here, it was not declared. I did not know. Second of all, one of the witness from Miss Apsana Begum, suddenly the chair of the panel discovers, oh, the witness from the complainant is known to the chair of the panel,
Yep.
and she did not remove herself from the proceedings. Which anyway, but I don't want to go into detail. But basically, again, it was a sham trial. It was a mockery of the disciplinary process within Labour Party. I was not given
Right.
a fairing because I gave them 200 pages bundle. So truth
Okay.
did not matter. After that, obviously, they, you know, I was cancelled. I was expelled because the way the pressure was put in. How can Ms. Apsana Begum's ex-husband, who has been accused of domestic abuse, still be in the party while she is the member of parliament of this party? So by the way, I should also mention what was okay. Was there any domestic abuse? Let's say, for an example, I have not been tried in the court on domestic abuse matters or anywhere else. Probably the Labour Party complaints probably dealt with that. Guess what was the Labour Party's complaints, Ms. Begum? The complaints that they ultimately dealt with.
Yeah.
That I dropped my current wife to conference in Brighton.
Right.
I shouldn't have. Basically, there was an apparent restriction on my freedom of movement. Like I should be nowhere, anywhere near. I can't even drop my wife to a conference or anywhere. And a complaint's been made. I apparently, you know, of course, completely again hiding all the fact how we've been amicable, cooperated, etc.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's the Labour Party chapter ended.
That's
And then what happened? This is very important. In 2022, entire 10 wards of the local party voted for a reselection. They said that we want a reselection. We want other candidates to apply for this seat. And all 10 wards ultimately triggered and said that we should have it. Miss Begum immediately went off sick.
Yep.
And she claimed this is her ex-husband's doing. Her ex-husband extending now the harassment. This is an extension of harassment, apparently.
Yep.
And that's what she claimed. And obviously she came back only after Rishi Sunak announced the election. Suddenly she came back and she is the candidate. And so I was like, where I was silent. The last 3 years been very difficult for me. I lost my father in late 2021. I'm his only son, and he was very distorted that his son has been labeled as a domestic abuser, and his political career ended. I can't find a job. My complete professional prospects impacted. So towards the end of his life, he was also very, very, very distorted, and I didn't know what to do. Then, of course, I thought I should speak the truth. I could have let this go if it was just personal, if it was just another private individual. But you're looking at someone, you're looking at a member of parliament, you're looking at the judicial system in this country, you're looking at how this country is governed. And I'm a proud British. This country gave me everything: my education, my healthcare. It gives me immense security. It gives me the sense of freedom of speech. I enjoy greater freedom of speech than probably I would enjoy where my father was born or in Bangladesh.
You're not as so far left, unlike others.
I owe it to myself. I owe it to my future children who should not Google and find that, oh, probably their father was a domestic abuser. I owe it to the members of public in Poplar and Limehouse. You know, they have a right to know what happened. Do they have politicians who have respect for integrity, honesty, probity in public life? And of course, I'm putting myself through this very stressful journey. It's not pleasant at all for me. It's very painful. But what's more painful for me is to remain silent, completely giving up on my voice, and people just have heard one-sided, orchestrated story from Owen Jones and Novara Media and Miss Begum without looking at me being judged one-sidedly. And so I'm really grateful, Maya, that for the first
Yep.
time I've got the opportunity to, and whatever I'm saying, everything is backed by evidence. But
Yes.
where shall I go? For me, the answer is democracy. Through
Yep.
democracy, truth should be established. Through democracy, I should seek justice.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
I appeal to everyone that this is not I do not I've got no intention, and this is not a personal thing. It's very political. It goes at the root of the institutions we have in this country, and it's my duty to speak out
Yep.
and present it to the public. Let the public be the jury. Let the public have more information, and that's more. But of course, I'm an independent candidate, so I can't even print leaflets, or I don't have much money. Just like I can't take people to
No.
court. So I've opened up a GoFundMe page, and I will appreciate if your viewers read my story, follow me, follow my journey for next 15-20 days, and support
Yep.
me to establish truth.
I want to say, massive thank you to Ertasham, obviously, for coming on and tell his story. Obviously, you're now independent candidate. Best of luck with that. And we will obviously get in touch again with Apsana Begum's office to see if they have anything to say. Obviously, Ertasham has already given me the evidence as well. But thank you again for coming on the channel. Right, let's quickly go to you guys, because I think it's important to get your reaction. Of course, there's a lot of people live as well. Just as a summary again, as you already saw, Ehtasham was Apsana Begum's ex-husband. They got divorced in 2017, but then got involved with the Labour Party. Both of them become councillor, and then in 2019, when Apsana became candidate to be an MP, allegations against her came out about housing fraud and local council, and eventually that created a trial. While that was happening in 2020, she then came out with accusations that she never have come out before against her husband, ex-husband Ehtasham, domestic abuse. She became the champion in the establishment, and of course, since then, she's become the chair of the kind of committee in Parliament when it comes to domestic abuse. But there were no actual charges against him, the ex-husband Ehtasham. And obviously, the trial went away with the actual housing fraud. The house is still there. It's just a bit of a... there's so many issues with this. So I know this conversation was quite long for you guys, but the details are important because putting aside, it's not really about personal clashes, family stuff, and he didn't really want to make it about that. He had to tell the background story first so that everybody knows how they knew each other. But the housing fraud in one thing is one issue. Lying about the other stuff, perjury is another thing, allegedly. And also allegedly lying about being a victim of domestic abuse when it comes to your ex-husband. That's the whole different issue. And the rest of it is cover-ups. And that's not really about her anymore. That's about the rest of the establishment, which I just realized we got the echo on. There we go. I think it's, yeah, there we go. Better now. We had to have it on because of the interview. But then the rest of the establishment essentially did the cover-up and decided to cancel the ex-husband instead of looking into her and her affairs. Let's quickly go to some of the super chats. First one says, hello Maya, does tips, gifts, paid subscriptions serve the channel content promotions by YouTube algorithm? Well, the super chats do, the one you just sent obviously, but if you want to support us independently to stay independent, join us on 2c.tv. Go on to 2c.tv, join 2c.tv Plus. That's the best way to support the channel. Thank you. Edward says, get him off, boring. I know obviously these conversations would go forever. That's why I thought it's best to kind of let him tell the background story, but then I wanted to obviously make sure to get to the point in terms of the actual allegations. And it says, have a coffee to wake up, night all. And then we have a few others as well. Similar, Nick says, this makes me want a holiday to Palestine. Anyway, we have Lily Gal saying, YouGov just announced on GB News that Reform UK is now ahead of the Conservatives. Well, that's interesting. Obviously, as we speak, ITV1 is now having the debate, but I'll watch that later for you guys, so I'll give you a summary so you don't have to suffer through the mainstream media. Just pick one way through to Switzerland. Super chat. Mandy says, for a stiff drink, Maya, you deserve it. I always deserve it. I'm a good boy. Mark says, have a drink after that, pal. And another one from Martin Foot as well. Thank you very much. Obviously, as I said, we'll get in touch with, we'll try to get in touch with the Apsana Begum's team to see what they have to say. Hopefully, she'll have a quick answer for us, but I don't think she will. Right, so let's have a look. Is there anything else over here from the normal live chat peeps? If Labour gets in, you'll be queuing for your bread over months. To be fair, there is one thing to say when taking about politics. This Labour government, upcoming Labour government, will probably not be stable. There's a lot of people who are already speculating that the Labour government will be tanking in the polls by Christmas. But you never know. Considering the numbers basically suggest that the Lib Dems will be the opposition, I think the whole country will have a bit of a meltdown, rightly so. You can't have the Labour Party as government and the opposition having the Lib Dems. You can't have two left-wing parties. I mean, you can. There's nothing illegal, but you shouldn't. So I think that would be a perfect opportunity for Reform UK take over as a centre-right party or merge with some of the good Tories and basically have the centre-right come back. Joe Vlogs says, bun for the Mayor of London. Big up, Maya. Thank you very much, Joe. And Arch says, is this live? Hello. Yes, we are live. Anyway, thank you again for your patience, for your support, for your love. We'll come back later on with more updates. I'm going to go catch up with this ITV1 debate, see what sort of idiotic things they're talking about. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.